Peace, blessings, and ascension to all. Today's math, or today's date is November the 22nd, 2020, 11:22. Um, which would make for a different kind of math if I was to include all of it. But again, I'm being simple. For the month of November, so if you want to go back to the math of November the 1st, 2020, that'll be just knowledge, the first degree. Then the second will be wisdom, and so on and so forth, till you get through 10. And the reason I say 10 is because that's how you get cipher, so you will have knowledge through cipher. Um, if you look November 1st through the 10th of 2020, and on the 11th, you'll see how the 11 builds and how the 12 builds on the 12, and so on and so forth. But today being the 22nd, to continue this, what did I just call it? Not like an encyclopedia or an appendix or a reference point, but the math comes to me like the way I choose to interpret the numbers. I don't really choose it. However, the numbers present themselves to me is how my interpretation will be presented to you. And again, my interpretation is not the only interpretation. It may not even be a correct interpretation. Again, I can only build on the knowledge I have in my own foundation. But vice versa, you can only build in the knowledge you have in your foundation. So my point is to share this knowledge or to pour this righteous teaching. But today is the 22nd. 22 is wisdom, wisdom. 2 and 2 make 4, which is culture freedom. So the math today is telling us basically that 2 heads are better than 1, especially when it comes to building a culture of freedom. If we both, or not even in the aspect of just two people, but just people coming together in general, practicing wisdom, trying to build and create this culture, it will be the closer the two or the people are to the true wisdom, which is really applying the knowledge and having a pure knowledge or a solid foundation to build on, and then acting on that with pure intentions, the closer the culture will be to freedom. To freedom. I'm gonna say that again. Two or more people get together. The more pure their wisdom, their 2 is, the more pure the 4 from the massive will be. Meaning, the more true their knowledge is, and therefore their wisdom is, the truer their culture or way of life will be, and the closer that culture will be to freedom or freedoms. These wise domes get together, and the wisdom itself show improves, especially when 2 wise domes come together, that a culture of freedom must be made manifest. And I say that to say that when, let's just say, even though they say it's not what you know, it's who you know, but what you know definitely plays a major factor. Obviously, knowledge being the first degree, it is the foundation. But what you know and who you know is still, again, knowledge. But if the only way someone can manipulate or take advantage of someone is if they don't know, the big brother who gets the little brother to do his bidding, or the business owner who mm, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I don't think either one of those are really trying to illustrate or really gonna illustrate the picture that I'm trying to give off here. Um, just like the mystery schools of ancient days and all of the like secrets, how you have to be like initiated into a group. Um, the Masons, the Shriners, the anybody. Even with the Supreme Math, the way the 120 lessons, or the Nation of Gods and Earths is, or any real sect, um, you can't really denominate yourself without some allegiance to an existing power in that denomination. Like you have to go to temple, or you have to go to mosque, or you have to go to the synagogue, or you have to go to church, or you have to go to the lodge, and you have to do these initiations and these rituals and these practices. Your way of life um, is in the system you choose to subscribe to, and the people outside of that system. The reason this system functions, the difference in the insiders and the outsiders, is knowledge and therefore wisdom. Um, how am I trying to say this? The fool cannot manipulate the wise man, but the wise man for sure can manipulate the fool. And hopefully, this wise man is positive and does it in a way that builds the fool up and gives them knowledge, that is, knowledge of self and life and reality, um, and build them up, give them a solid foundation to make them wise. And again, these two wise domes will create a culture of freedom where every dome is free to think for himself, or herself. But I digress. This is why I say it's really intricate, especially like so today being all of these multiples. Like the month is 11, which is 1 and 1, and then the day is 22, and then the year is 2020. All of these repeating double dualistic numbers, perfectly balanced though, is I'm sure a lesson in itself. And once I get through November, like I said, it's no one way that I do it. Honestly, if I feel like I went too deep one day, the next day I'll try to make it as brief as possible. Um, and whenever the too deep rolls around, I try to just let that flow because, again, the numbers repeat. So if the numbers repeat, then every day is really just one through nine, or it may have a cipher in there. But the whole thing again is the cipher. The cipher is everything and nothing. That's why it is zero, and it is the circle that encompasses everything. Um, if all the numbers just repeat, then the math should just repeat. But that to me is not how it works. When you look at the numbers, you have an understanding. That's what you first have to do is gain an understanding of the numbers and the principles and the values that they hold, um, and the dualistic nature of each principle. Um, the one that really illustrates the dualism itself is Build and Destroy, the eighth degree. Um, that if you turn the eight sideways or 90 degrees, if you make it perpendicular, it becomes infinity, which is already infinite. orientation again matters, but at the same time, only to a degree. Um, but I digress. Again, today is November the 22nd, 2020. Today's math is 22. That is wisdom, wisdom. Two and two make four. Um, the equality itself, the balance, the dualistic nature, the presentation of the numbers today. First of all, reminds us that everything is two-sided. Everything has poles. Everything has a polarity. Um, I hate that I always use a gun as a reference. Um, I'll give you the gun reference after I think of a better one. Um, okay, so I'll just give you a gun reference. The same gun that one person uses in self-defense is, the same gun that the next person uses. Like everything is a tool. Even this math itself, um, gematria and the science and the knowledge, any ascension or realization can be manipulated for the positive or for the negative, depending on your intention of how you pick up the tool, like a hammer. Thank you, universe. Um, the same hammer that can drive in the nail that builds the temple or completes the temple is the same hammer that can bust the windows out of the temple. So again, it is all about how you use it, which is why the numbers is telling us again that we must be equal in our wisdom. Um, Internally meaning equal in our wisdom, being able to see the light and the dark, the good and the bad, the up and the down, the left and the right to what we do, and how again I say everything. Excuse me. Everything has a polarity. Everything can be used for good or evil, depending on how you want to use it. Um, Even something as pure as someone else's love for you can be used for good or evil. Um, this is, to me, what the numbers are showing. But it is also showing us that we should be mindful of the light and the shadows. But in my opinion, again, always on the eighth degree, I pick build. It is my will to build and to only destroy what must be destroyed to build for good. So if the But yes, no. In the eighth degree, I always choose to build. That's just my own personal opinion, which is also maybe not even true, because if it is my own, like right now, I have tobacco addiction. Let's call it what it is. Um, this habit I'm trying to kick. And in order to kick this habit, I do have to build my own will and steadfastness. Um, but I also have to destroy the habit itself. That thought after a meal to go run and take a puff is like still there, and I have to battle that. I have to destroy that in order to build my own health. Um, this is everything. Um, and to make this wisdom, to make this knowledge accessible as far as the numbers and the math and the the functionality of the numbers, being able to apply the math. This is an applied science, um, and it's not like mystical, or maybe I myself, I would consider myself a mystic as far as um, believing in metaphysics and things being connected on a whole nother level, and how these receptors that we call eyes in the brain um, give us a picture, and that is, to me, one way to perceive. You got to be open to people, um, especially ones who are building. But it's so much negativity out here that it's easy to dismiss your neighbor out of preconceived notions that are rooted in the booby trap we find ourselves in. Um, the key is really to come together and to build, um, to make this knowledge known, and to share wisdom with the next person, and exchange wisdom, um, which in itself will put us at the fourth degree, which bypasses the third degree effortlessly, meaning the understanding comes without effort, by osmosis through the waters of wisdom. Um, it is the natural process. But again, everything is dualistic. So just as this positive energy flows effortlessly, um, when two positives come together, energy still flows. A positive and a negative come together. That energy is going to flow in one of the directions. Either the positive will make, they're going to attract, and the positive will make the negative positive, or the negative will make the positive negative. That is, as far as energies now, or they will just repel each other and not